want to just do a quick summary of what you did?
Okay, I apologize, guys. I forgot to start the report, so I'm just going to go over a quick summary. Marley made a motion to make Nancy temporary chair for today. It was seconded by Drew, and it was unanimous. Marley also made, Nancy made a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on April 5th. Marley seconded, it was unanimous. Nancy explained that this is a special meeting, so the only thing that could be covered is everything that is on the agenda. Any other issues or topics that we want to discuss could be tabled for our next meeting. And currently we have 2 appealees that are appearing, and the first one is Yosef, and he is going to begin with his appeal. Okay, we're going to try this again, so go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Yusuf Maliksade. I'm 81 years old, and that's not the excuse for parking and handicap. But I was in town, and I with diabetes. I'm sorry, I had to go to the bathroom, and the parking was around the gas station was full, and I couldn't go to the gas station because there was a gasoline tanker was there. So I parked in the handicap for a few minutes and went to the bathroom, and I came back and got the ticket, which is, I was wrong, but that's the reason. And I'm living in New Canaan 42 years. This is the first time this happened. So either I had to, I'm sorry, pee in the car myself, or park there and go there and come back. That's why I got this ticket. That's what it is. I appreciate your help.
Nancy, I have some questions if
Sure,
we're at
go right ahead.
Sir, can you just confirm the make and model of what you were driving when you were ticketed?
I'm sorry?
Can you confirm the make and model of the vehicle that you were driving when you were?
It's the 2006, 2007 Jeep Wrangler.
Okay, interesting vehicle for.
Right.
And also, are you eligible for a handicapped permit or tag here in Connecticut?
Are you eligible for a handicap permit or tag?
Yes, I have, but I have not applied it. So probably I will do that, but I don't. I'm 81 years old, and probably I'll be able to get one because of my situation.
Right. Okay, that's all I have.
And actually, the Jeep belongs to my daughter. I was driving in that day.
Got it.
She's got a video.
Does anybody else have any questions?
Did she want to comment on this? She should be taken.
No other questions? Okay, so as Nancy explained earlier, you're more than welcome to stay till the end of the meeting.
Yeah,
We'll make a determination. They will be voting on your appeal at the end of the meeting, or you'll feel free to leave, and when they vote on it, I will contact you tomorrow and let you know the
okay,
decision.
thank you. Thanks for your time. And thank you for serving. And
Thank you,
I
sir.
hope you help me with this. All the best to all of you. Good night.
Good night. Have a good evening. Thank you for coming.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. So you let
Mr.
me
Moore?
know.
Yes, I will definitely let you know.
Sure.
Okay, you're welcome. We have Mr. Morgan here on the Zoom meeting. Mr. Morgan, if you would like to explain your appeal.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to do so. On the morning in question, my son had his 9 a.m. coronation at St. Aloysius. So we drove over and parked legally by the church. And when that was over, we had an 11 a.m. Lunch or brunch reservation at Elm to celebrate. And the service ended a little early, so we walked through the New Canaan toy store to get a toy for each kid, sort of as a thank you for sitting through church and for him to celebrate. At this time, it was raining outside, but it was modest. After we got the toys, killed 10 minutes, went out and sort of got across through the rain into Elm, had lunch, finished everything, paid the bill. But by this time, the storm had increased significantly. It was pouring rain and there was significant wind. And so I said, you know what, I'll go run and get the car while you guys wait and stay dry here. I went and jogged around the buildings back to the church and returned with the car and parked as close as I could to Elm. There's a little sort of pedestrian there's a little area there that cars can't go, but right after it, it's sort of like a third lane on the street. I parked there, put the hazards on, went inside, gathered my family together, which did not take very long at all because everything was all settled at the restaurant, and came out. And we were in the ticket agent was in the process of writing a ticket, and we said, what's happening? We weren't parked here, just loading the car in this pouring rainstorm. Now, normally I would think in any circumstance, this is not, certainly I understand that the spot is no parking, but this wasn't parking. This is, I think, a behavior that we hope people do for their families to keep them protected and keep them safe and keep them dry in a bad storm. But the situation is a little bit more complicated. My son, the previous weekend, had broken his arm and had just gotten a new cast a few days before. So it's extra important that he didn't get it wet. And also, when I hopped out of the car to go help, we have 2 children, 8 and 6 years old. You can't get kids together in 5 seconds. Sometimes it takes 30, 45 seconds. Probably took an extra 15, 20 seconds to get his jacket on because we had to be very careful with his cast. And then, I don't know the exact thing, somewhere between 120 and 180 seconds, probably. Had my family out to the car, and the ticket agent said, it's too late. I've already started to write the ticket. This officer over here says I have to finish writing the ticket. Now, I can see a ticketing agent or a police officer, if they didn't have full visibility into what was happening, I can see how a ticket could be written, but understanding that, we had been parked legally for 2 hours, no, more than that, for close to, 3.5, 4 hours. And I just was picking up my family in a driving rainstorm. I don't believe that we want to de-incentivize that. I don't think we want to penalize, a husband taking care of his family like that. So I hope that you can understand that. And I hope that we live in a town where we hope we take care of our families like that. So I appreciate the opportunity to present that story. And I don't know, I know this is just a simple proceeding for small amount, but it's what I have said is true, and I, if needed, can provide documentation and verification of it, but I don't know to what extent any of us want to go through that amount of time and effort.
Okay, does anyone have any questions for Mr. Morgan?
Mr. Morgan, thanks for appearing tonight. I do have a question, which was if you could give us a description of the conversation, if you will, that transpired between you and the officers when you realized you were getting ticketed. It'd be helpful.
Well, we said that we're not parked here. We're just loading the car. And he said he is unable to stop writing the ticket because the officer across the street told him that he had to write it. At that point, I said, this is ridiculous. And I was not pleasant, but I wasn't out of bounds. But my wife got very emotional because she has a son that she's taking care of with a newly broken arm. And we were not pleased with the situation. Like I said, without visibility into it, I totally understand how someone can begin to or write that ticket. But once the situation was known, it seems outrageous. And so, you know, I apologize. No one deserves to be yelled at, but I also don't believe that I should be penalized for taking care of my family and my wife taking care of her son with a broken arm.
Any other further questions? Okay, Mr. Morgan, as you heard previously, you're more than welcome to stay around to the end of the meeting when the decision will be voted, when this will be decided on and voted on. If not, they will let me know what the decision is and I will contact you tomorrow with the answer.
Thank you. May I ask how long these meetings usually take? Because I'd like to stay, but I have to put my kids to bed and stuff at some point.
It varies depending on the questions the parking commission members have on the other topics that we're going to be discussing. So it's lasted an hour, 45 minutes, sometimes longer.
Okay, I'll try and stay. Thank you.
Okay, so next up, we're going to discuss the Metro North branch line update. So as everybody is aware, the branch line shut down as of May 30th, with the hopeful possibility of it being the train service resuming September 1st. At this time, we feel that it's going as well as can be expected, given circumstances. We think most people have found their way to other parking options and that they're starting to use the other options that were provided to them, that the town put together. I think we feel that they have gotten into some kind of routine. Buses being used, people going to Darien, South Norwalk, Stamford, and I kind of feel that because of the time and effort that the town put in to get all of these options out to our residents and our commuters before the shutdown actually took place, has been the reason behind what I feel is kind of this smooth transition into this new commute for the next 3 months. And, you know, so Bob here has been our leg man from day number 1. He's gone out and found the parking options. He's gone out and counted spaces. He's been going out over the last 2 weeks to see how many spaces have been available once people started using the options that we provided to them. And again, I think the fact that we got the fact sheets out and all the information out has made it go as smoothly as possible. So if anyone has any questions, feel free. Bob here is very knowledgeable in a lot of things as well, and go ahead.
Are people using the buses or are they going to other train stations? Like I live off of 106, so I see the buses all the time and I'm curious as to like how many people are using them.
We were tracking them the first couple of days by physically being there, counting the people. And we've been relying on Metro North and ConnDOT, Connecticut Department of Transportation. And they have not really been filling us in since that point. However, we've had as many as 20, 22 people on a particular bus at key rush hour trains, and then it drops way off. We've also had the first week about 45 people on the bus coming up to New Canaan to work early in the morning. And we wanted to track that a little better. We hope we can further. Originally, Metro North had projected it was going to take 44 minutes for the buses to get from New Canaan to Stamford. But they have two buses for each one of these trains, a local and an express. The express bus has been taking about 28 minutes. So it's not that unpleasant of a term right. So hopefully some people will be finding this. The key location people have been going to is Darien. We tracked down 650 spaces that are available for commuters in town or out of town. Unfortunately, most of their spaces are not really available to day parkers until 9:30 in the morning. Today was a good example. There were only of the 650 spaces that we've been tracking, there were only 20 available after about 1 o'clock. So basically it was pretty much filled up. The private lot, which is more expensive, it's $8. That has been at capacity, 309 spaces being used. We've also been tracking Norotan Heights, and that's worked out well. There are about 360 spaces. We also worked with Boxcar and Kevin Moynihan and the people that are building that complex at Norotan Heights made 40 spaces available, and they've been getting about 20 of the 40 used every day. But in the meantime, of the 360 spaces, there were about 65 available today. People are preferring Darien because they get a better seat on the train. Norotan Heights, pretty crowded over there. As a result, we've also been taking a look at South Norwalk because there's some people on the east side of town where it's not that inconvenient to go over to South Norwalk. They have a large garage. Unfortunately, it doesn't open till 7 a.m. And that lot has pardon? Oh, 706 spaces. There's also street all-day parking, and there's the train station lot. That's about 190 spaces between those. Those are pretty much filled every day. We've had a few of our people comment that they signed up for a monthly permit there and are using the South Norwalk station. Also, the Stamford Transportation Center, we've tracked down, there's actually a free lot that's by the people who are developing the whole south end. And that one has 177 spaces. That's a free lot, and they're asking people to make a donation to the Community Foundation of Fairfield County. That's pretty much filled every day. In fact, today when I went down there, I'd say there were negative 13 spaces because there were 13 people parked where they shouldn't be parked, and all 13 of them had tickets on them. That's at Atlantic Street. We also found a lot on what's called Henry Street. It looks like it's way out of the way, but when you go around the back and you come up to that lot, there's a sidewalk that takes you right to the train station. It's very convenient. People are finding that one every day. That went from having, there's 69 spaces there. That went from having no one in the lot to the building. Today there were 34 people. There were 34 spaces only available in that lot. So that was pretty good. So we've been tracking the availability. We'll be communicating a little bit more. We've had some good feedback on compliments. Kevin had us put together a flyer that's available for all of the lots. We wrote to everybody who had a couple of times and did a survey to anyone who has a parking permit. There's good feedback on that. And hopefully we're 3 weeks into this. Last week was a little bit of a hiccup. Everybody went back to working from home with all the smoke in the city and in the Stamford area. That's pretty much what we've been doing. We've been pretty busy with this. We've been up 4:30, 4:45 in the morning at the train station, tracking all the people. So a lot of work went into this from a group of people.
And I think because of that, and people were very much appreciative. We've got a lot of good feedback, like Bob said, thanking the town for putting together all this information. Some people went out ahead of time to kind of decide where they wanted to park. Other people just started when the train shut down. But considering the amount of commuters that we do have from this town, I think everybody has kind of gotten into a routine and has found their way for now. So.
I was curious, Bob, because we didn't talk about this before this shutdown started, but obviously it's a huge impact to those people who are commuting into New Canaan, who tend to be restaurant workers and other type of day workers. And I can imagine that this has been a burden to them as well in terms of time, et cetera. Do we see any increase in the parking in New Canaan of those commuters driving up here? And are we giving them any?
We haven't noticed
Yeah,
anything,
we haven't noticed anything.
but we've noticed the buses coming up in the
Mhm.
morning, early in the morning, workers, there's 46 people on the bus that we had that one particular day, that right after Memorial Day.
The majority of the people that are using, the employees that are using the train to come to New Canaan are catching it from probably Stamford
Yeah.
and coming here. So the vehicle traffic is not increasing because they're taking the train to us
The
here.
bus,
Or the bus, I'm sorry, yeah, the bus here.
Okay.
yeah.
A
So-
question, you mentioned you made some surveys to folks who were parking in these other lots in the other towns. What's the nature of those?
We did the survey before the line was shut down.
And we'll probably, because that was taken off the agenda, I don't think it wanted to be discussed at this point, but we will definitely at the next meeting be able to give you some feedback on that. That's why I didn't include anything on it in this meeting.
Yeah, we haven't
So,
fallen into a pattern. The first week was the short week, Memorial Day, everybody just trying to find their way. The second week, as that one started, the smoke came in and everybody started working from home. Today is yesterday was the first, Monday was the first normal day, people starting to get to work. Mondays are still pretty light. Fridays are very light. It's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, we're really homing in on. And we may put a survey out in another week or so, but we also may go out with another communication suggesting people may want to just try the bus.
I guess what I'm trying to determine is what happened to our survey, and are these surveys related? Who are they from?
Well, the
So
first, sorry, go ahead.
excuse me, not to cut
No,
Bob
no, go
off.
ahead.
But that first survey was initially going to be in our previous June meeting, but because this is a special meeting and we really just needed to get through a couple of things, it was not included. But definitely in our next parking commission meeting, it will be included and we will have all the results for you and everything, like all the information in regards to that. But
So,
because
hold up. So we went over some copy 2 months ago. So you're saying that survey went out?
it went out like it was supposed to, we got
Okay.
responses like it was supposed to, but again, everything in regards to that survey will be discussed at the next parking commission meeting. We will put that in the agenda. It just was not added in for this one. So we.
Okay,
can't
August.
discuss.
Okay.
I do have a question. I think it's still in line with number 4 on the agenda and the branch line update, and that has to do with the overnight construction that's been going on the train lines, and whether or not A, we were notified that was going to be happening, and B, whether that's an effort to get the job completed earlier than anticipated. and see kind of what the status of that is?
The first night they had the opportunity to bring the railroad ties in and some other things. I had a curiosity because it was a fascinating piece of equipment. I taped it, and we had 2 complaints about noise, and there wasn't that much noise from the machinery. Secondly, there were no train horns going off from midnight on, as usually go on. So it was been minimal complaints.
And I think everything else, I think that there were other people looking into anything that had to do with that. But so far, it's been quiet as far as any further.
So that was sort of a one-off. They're not currently working the night shift in an effort to accelerate the,
Not
Not
that we
to
know.
our knowledge, no.
We're not getting
We're not
updates.
getting,
We're not getting updates, but today when I was, I've been driving by the tracks as I go through these lots. They were focused on getting rid of vegetation, tree limbs, things like that could fall on the tracks. And they're going in a northerly direction, and they were between Springdale and Talmadge Hill. So they had gotten through Glenbrook and Springdale, and they were working that normal hours. Now we can't tell you they're not working at night, but we haven't heard anything or seen anything about night work, other than that first night when they brought all the equipment in. And it was not that loud.
and do you have any sense on if the work is, I mean, granted, we're 2.5 weeks in, right? So, but any sense on whether or not it's going according to plan and it's going to remain on track?
Unfortunately, we are not getting any updates at the moment. We have asked that they keep us updated of any changes, of any extensions, of any problems, but as of right now, we haven't been given any updated time. It's pretty early in the project, so I don't think we will see anything just yet. But, hopefully maybe next meeting we'll have a little bit more information, because that'll
Do
be
you know
close.
if there are any sort of review points or look points within the scope of the project where we'd be advised of, of the progress?
We would hope so and
Yeah.
expect so, but you're talking with Condot and you're talking Metro North. Look at the limited communication that they had with us,
No, I know.
that
No,
this
no,
project was
fine.
gonna even start.
And these are not private contractors, they're,
No, that
Metro North.
Metro North indeed, yeah, Metro North.
I think that the people that were doing the tree work today, they're not your typical tree contractors, but it looks like they're contractors that specifically work with railroads. They had those trucks that have the
oh, yeah.
train wheels underneath and all. So they must be very specialized contractors.
I had a question about the contractors parking at the railroad lot. They had like a bus there. Are they parking it in the lot, or in like, did they ask, or are we charging them or anything?
The main train station lot that they're parking in,
Yeah, the railroad lot.
well, they are technically, and you're talking about the construction workers, correct?
Yeah.
They are allowed, that's Metro North State property. So I'm guessing if they are doing work on it, that they're going to be, we haven't been told anything different as far
Yeah.
as they go. They're the workers, and they're parking there to do the work, so.
Because I saw like a contractor sign go up on, like, I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday after the construction started. But they have like a bus there too that's like driving people to the,
Are
so I
you
guess-
talking about not the contract, are you talking about the conductors, are you talking about a conductor sign in somebody's window when you're saying the buses?
No, there was like an orange bus and there's two orange buses like driving people for the first few days, and then the lot seemed to fill up after, like the next week.
Okay, I will have to look into that
Yeah.
for you because,
Because you're working over there, right?
Yeah, so I parked in there every day. So
Right, so they may be bringing a bus of workers in.
they were in the beginning, and then now there's like a lot more cars there. So I didn't know like if they had asked, like, I mean, I don't know who, if they could, I mean, there's plenty of parking, obviously, because no one's parking there.
okay, we're talking about the lumberyard permit lot. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm getting confused a little bit when you said the railroad lot, the lumberyard. Okay.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I will look into that a little bit further for you. And I am guessing that if there's not enough room on the state property area for them to park in, we might have to allow it, but I will look into that a little bit further for you and get back to you. They might
One,
just be using available parking at this time.
one thing that just occurred to me, and I think is still within the agenda, let me know,
Sure.
is that the vendor parking that's over on the center school lot, would it make any sense to allow those people to park at the lumberyard? It would reduce their walking commute during the hot summer months at a time when it doesn't, doesn't make any difference to us.
You mean the employee parking at the center school?
Yeah.
I will say that probably is not a wise idea because we are requiring permits to park in the lumberyard, because what that would bring us up to the next topic in regards to the permit renewals and extending the commuter permits. But we're still requiring payment in the state-owned property and making sure that they have a permit to park in the lumberyard. So
You're giving them the option to come to Richmond.
right, and that's true. We've also given them the option that if they can't find parking in Central School, they can utilize the other two free permit lots, which is at Locust and Richmond, and that seems to be working fine for the few people that are not able to find
Well,
parking.
again, just between the construction at the library and the fact that, it gets pretty hot walking even that short distance from Center School up into South Avenue and Elm.
The one thing that does create an issue, if we start moving people into that lot, trying to get them back into their other lots once the
Well, they
resumed and to monitor it does become a little bit difficult. So I think we want to just keep that the way it is for commuters at the moment. And they can utilize the other two free parking lots.
So right now it's off limits. Let's say if the Morse Court lot is full and the upper lot above, off Park Street, those lots are full. Somebody would be ticketed if they were to park there without a permit, even though it's empty.
Prior to 1:15 in the afternoon, they're more than welcome to utilize it after 1:15 in the afternoon. It opens up to anybody, but prior to 1:15, yes, that they would be at this moment.
Got it. All right.
Okay, so going on to the number 5, permit renewals. So in regards, prior to the shutdown, commuter permits were expiring on August 31st. Renewals would start as of September 1st. Due to the shutdown, I am making a recommendation to the Parking Commission that we extend the commuter permit expiration date for the amount of time that the train is shut down And then when the train resumes, we will refocus on what the new renewal period would be. Would also like to include that extension to our 2-year priority list, which was expiring on August 31st as well. My recommendation goes to you, and then you would recommend it, if you agree with this recommendation, you would recommend it to go to the Board of Selectmen for approval. But since a lot of our commuters who currently have a permit and paid for a permit that was supposed to go through August 31st are now having to find other options and pay for parking someplace else, I just felt that it would be beneficial to extend the expiration date. A lot of people asked me that question when we were approaching this shutdown. What was going to happen to my permit during this shutdown period? So,
Stacy, are you recommending a date or just
we're
extend?
recommending, well, the date would be for the amount of time of the shutdown. So let's say the shutdown was actually on schedule and it only shut down from May 30th to August 31st, then we would figure out that time period. We would extend it to that date, that time period further out, and then renewals would start that following month or day. We would figure it out. So that's the period that I'm recommending for the shutdown time period.
So I guess next meeting, we would have to decide the rates also,
If we
because
know,
if it does,
yeah, if we know that if it's on schedule and we know when the train would be resuming, then at the next meeting, we would discuss, yes, that. And if we don't know by then it would be for the following meeting. We would discuss the new permit rates.
should we do like the week after the meeting that we discuss it and it's done?
Traffic ticket?
Yeah, excuse me. Yes.
Okay,
You,
I've been traveling all around town for over an hour, trying to find you guys.
and you are,
David Rosenberg.
okay, well, I put in my email where we are. Have a seat, and we'll come back to you.
Very good.
I'm sorry, what was the last question? Kevin, I apologize.
So like, so I guess if we make it, let's just say hypothetically it's done August 31st, we'd have to kind of like have all of our plan of like what we're going to be charging for next year, that meeting. Or do you want it to be like the meeting after?
It
the
would
time that it
be
opens.
okay, probably for the meeting after, because we would be, if we knew the train resumed on August 31st, so September 1st, the train was resuming, then we would figure out the period, which would be 3 months, June, July, and August, that the shutdown was. So we would extend the expiration date out 3 months, so technically it would be September, October, November. So renewals would start December, so we would have a few meetings in between to discuss a fee recommendation at that point.
Yeah, I guess I'm being a little pessimistic about like the communication that ConnDOT's going to give us in terms of like when they're going to actually be finished.
I know, that's why we kind of have to hold off on that a little bit until we get closer to, I think, when we think the train will resume or when the project would be over. Keeping our fingers crossed, it would be September 1st.
So
But
that,
right now, we're just looking for the recommendation to submit to the Board of Selectmen to extend the expiration date of the permits for the time that the shutdown is in effect. So
and we need to
make a
vote,
motion.
make a motion, okay,
Yeah,
but
make a motion if you agree with that.
anybody?
Yeah.
Second, okay, so
But to that point, Stacy, I believe that we should just, put that on the agenda for the August 2nd meeting. The rate
absolutely,
structure.
Yep.
We don't have to,
be perfect. And if we can't make a decision, we can table it to the next one. I'm sorry,
Yeah, I mean, that's the issue, not having the survey data. It's like we don't have anything to go on really.
Yeah.
Like I said, you will have it next, at the next meeting. And then again, we can have it discussed first, and then we can go to the fee schedule at that point. Before we move on, though, it was Kevin that seconded the motion. Is this unanimous? Okay. Okay, we need to circle back to Mr. Rosenblum, if you don't mind. Mr. Rosenblum, please.
Thank you. Hi, Stacy.
Hi, how are you?
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah, no, I'm
did
just
put
reading
you
the
on hold.
email, just for your edification. It says 77 Main Street. I'm from Town Ridge.
Okay,
So I didn't know that the entrance is in the back. So I was knocking on the door at 77 Main Street and nobody answers that. And then I went around to the side
okay.
and tried that. And just by happen, and then I called the police. They said I'm in the wrong place. I gotta go to Hoyt Street in Stamford. So I rushed down there.
Oh, my
And I'm
God.
panicking because now it's after 7 o'clock. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be late. And that isn't open. And then I'm like, I fished through the email. I'm like, I gotta try again. I asked somebody, they're like, oh, the entrance is in the back. I'm like, okay, I wish I knew that.
Okay.
In any event,
In
here I
the
am.
event, you're here, you made the meeting, and
Yes, and I would like to plead my case, please.
And-
And you will see all the emails.
go right ahead.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for bearing with me. So I live in Pound Ridge, just over the border. We come to New Canaan quite often for the last 18 years. I go to the restaurant on the corner, 2 doors down from Stretch Lab to get smoothies after I do Stretch Lab in the mornings. I've been parking there for years. Apparently the sign was changed and there's a 15-minute sign, and I took pictures of everything, which I'd like to share. I don't know if anybody could see it. Should I go closer and show them?
You're more than
Okay,
welcome, Mr.
so,
Aiken.
yeah, I will. So the
I think
first,
they're aware.
so when I went to, can you guys see that? Okay. So you see that arrow? That arrow, I was parked on this side. The arrow was just put up just a few days ago. And as of yesterday, and I believe there's a reason that it was just put up, is because you were probably getting 1 million tickets. And just of yesterday, they actually took the sign down and moved it. They took it out of the ground and they moved it up to the proper place, which is 2 spots up, and put the arrow showing that if 15-minute parking behind that. So I had, like I had done numerous times, run in, gotten my smoothie. I was there for literally 5 minutes and got a ticket. And I said to the officer, I've only been here 5 minutes. And she said, well, there's a new thing and it's only 15 minutes. I said, I'm parked exactly where the sign is. She goes, no, that's for in front of it. And I said, well, I don't think the sign is properly placed. You may want to consider that, which of course they clearly have now considered and changed the sign. So for those reasons, I would respectfully request that the ticket be dismissed. And by the way, I'll just say one thing. I have no points on my license. I don't think I've ever gotten a speeding ticket, and my record is spot clean, and I always strive to abide by the law. And I truly believe I was innocent. Yes, Drew, you were at. I know that question. Yes, Stacy.
No,
Okay.
I do have a question, but I'll let Stacy, or Nancy, is it all right to ask a question?
Sure. Absolutely. Go ahead.
So actually, my question is for you, Stacy. Is that true that the sign was moved subsequent to this ticket being issued?
No. Okay, there's a sign at the beginning of the 15-minute zone and there's a sign at the end of the 15-minute zone. The reason we put an arrow, Mr. Rosenblum, if you look at the picture that is attached to the ticket, Mr. Rosenblum was parked next to a spot that says no parking. There is an angled line there and he is halfway in the crosswalk. Okay, where he parked it is clearly signed no parking. The 15-minute zone with the arrow pointing, I will say, up Main Street, okay, is the start of the 15-minute zone. And the other sign that you showed is at the end of the 15-minute zone before the fire hydrant and the handicap spot.
With all due respect, I don't believe there's a second sign there. I don't think there is. And it's across the street and we can walk over, but there is not. There's only one 15-minute sign, and that was directly in front of where I parked. And that, yes,
See the
true.
way the arrow is? Let me see that other picture, the first picture.
The
that you
first
showed
picture
me.
shows the arrow in the other direction.
Correct, so that's the other sign.
No. It's no parking from here. I was parked in front of the no parking zone in this. And now it says, when I parked there, Stacy, please give me the benefit of the doubt without shaking your head, that arrow did not exist.
I'm not saying, disagreeing with you.
Right, so
You're right.
subsequent to me parking there, last week, they put the arrow in because clearly it's not defined. One would think logically that you could park right behind, where it says 15 minutes, you could park there, which I did. They subsequently put the arrow in and then subsequently took the sign down. And I would encourage all to see it, it's literally across the street. So what you just shared with Drew, I
So-
respectfully disagree with
so the-
your response.
So the picture that we have showing you right next to the sign that says no parking and halfway in the crosswalk, you consider that the 15-minute zone.
I consider the
Because
15-minute
every-
zone directly behind the sign there, which is right, it's very clearly delineated right here. That's where I was parked. See the
Okay.
15
Do you
minute zone?
see
I do
the
see that
line
line. I
that
do.
goes on an angle?
I do.
Okay. Do you know that a line that goes on an angle is not a parking spot?
I hear you. However, when I did that,
Mhm.
that was brand new. And
That line is not brand new.
that line is, when, please
That
look
line
at
is
when that.
not brand new. Please, that line
Okay,
is not brand new. Okay, I am telling you right up, that line is not brand new. That line is not brand new. That has been there. Okay,
Okay.
that has.
Do you
been there.
agree that that sign is incorrectly located? Because it's since been moved. This was taken 2 days ago, and as of today, that sign is now moved up 2 spots. It does not longer exist there anymore. I beg you to take a look at it.
I can't leave this meeting, but I was there last week.
It's not there today. I promise you it's not.
Okay, was it there when you parked?
Yes, but,
Okay.
and they clearly put the arrow there. 2 days ago, I
I
went
did
and took
because
this spot.
There's okay.
There's a line, and I'm wrong about the line. However, the sign is incorrect. I think we're both incorrect. That's what I
Parking
think.
commission members, you can make the decision, okay? I am not,
I mean, there's also a crosswalk there.
correct,
That's- There's a crosswalk, like people have to walk in the crosswalk.
right, and he's in the crosswalk,
I'm-
which he could have technically gotten 2 tickets because he's in the crosswalk and he's in a no parking zone. Okay,
That said, you know, I've always, at least when these have come up, I think our signs are woefully confusing, and so things are in conflict. If I was just looking at the signs and not seeing, you know, the crosswalk, I might get confused. This whole thing with the arrow thing is a little bit, sounds like a hocus pocus to me.
It looks like.
Connecticut-
It looks like a setup, honestly. That's what it
Anyway.
feels like.
well,
Everything's at an angle in the
You
state. They
guys
can't
will
make a
your
right
decision.
angle on the road.
It's up to you. I'm not going to,
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Right.
looks like the sign was
set
on,
anybody up.
it was on the telephone, or on the
We're
light
trying to
bulb.
make it as clear as possible. And again, if you see the pictures, he's right next to a sign that says no parking, and he's in back of a crosswalk. But again, I'm just giving you the facts, okay? The 15 minutes, there's also an angle where he parked. It was angled. It was not a legal parking space. They can't put up a pole in every single section of this town, so they put the 15-minute sign a little before the actual start of the 15-minute sign, but the actual parking space is not a parking spot. So it's clearly, and then they put another sign on the other end. Okay, but again, I'm just giving you the facts.
I just want to say one thing. I respectfully disagree with the way that you said the facts, because there is not a sign on the backside. And they subsequently put an arrow and then subsequently moved the sign. Those are the facts. If I parked in that spot, I'm admitting I parked in that spot. If there was a line there, then I was wrong. However, the sign is confusing. It just is. And there's a reason they subsequently changed it and then moved it further. I can't be the only one who have had that problem. I was there for 5 minutes and I don't believe I should pay the ticket. By the way, this is not about the money. It's about doing the right thing. I took time out of my business. and
Mr.
people can go.
Rosenblum,
Yes.
I have a question.
Yes.
You say you go there directly after Stretch Lab, which is just a few doors down. Where do you
But I
park?
took my car around. It was on the other side of the street. And then I decided to I didn't walk there. My car wasn't there for a while. I was literally there for 5 minutes. The person who gave me the ticket will admit that.
So you pulled your car around rather than walk a couple doors down?
I did, because it was drizzling out and I decided to change my mind and get a smoothie.
I see.
I was parked in front of this building, actually.
I don't see which one you're talking about, but
The building we're in today.
Oh.
So those are the facts.
Okay, does anybody have any other questions for Mr. Rosenblum? Okay, well, we have a few other things, well, one other thing to discuss. You're more than welcome to stay. They'll make the decisions on the appeals after we finish the last topic.
Okay.
Or if you would like, I can just notify you on what the decision
You
is.
can call me or email me.
Okay, I will, perfect.
Okay.
I've got everything.
Okay, I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for listening to me.
and thank you for
Take care.
coming.
On better occasions. Okay. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
Okay, the last topic would be, the update on the telephone lot closure. So, telephone lot was one of our premier business parking permit lots. And the telephone company sold the property several years back, and the new owner had let us keep those permits there while they were deciding on what they were going to do with the piece of property. They've got approval to develop it, and as of July 31st, that lot will be closing to us as far as permits go. So I sent out, we have about 19 people in that lot. I sent out a letter advising all our permit holders, business permit holders in that lot, that the lot will no longer be available after July 31st. And they have the option to let me know what free lot that they would like to go into. The only lots available would be Center, Locust, and Richmond Hill. So they need to let me know before July 31st. So I just wanted to let you know that this business lot will be closing for our use moving forward. Any questions?
Well, again, I just want to go on the record and say that, maybe considering they had preferential, if that's the right word, parking privileges in that lot for X amount of time, that we offer them the lumberyard yacht for those 19 spaces, from July 31st through whenever the construction is over. And then at that point, they move to Locust or Richmond or Center Street. I don't think it's any.
If you would like, I guess we can make a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen on that. I will let you know that most of the people in the telephone lot are not going to want to go all the way to the lumberyard lot. that's a little far from town. They are more located, their businesses, and I do know the businesses are all down in the Main Street area.
Oh, well, then if that's the case, then Locust, is going to be more convenient to them than.
Yeah, Center actually,
Well, maybe you
Center
just
is
pick up-
actually the most convenient, but they have their choice on where they would absolutely like to go to.
All right, well, no big deal. I just thought
Right.
that,
Okay, so circling back to our appeals. I guess we're going to start off with Mr. Where did I just do my information? Is that it? Okay. Okay, so I see that Mr. Hoyt is still with us.
yeah,
So if you guys have a decision on that, we could let him know while he's here, and then we can move forward with the other ones.
Do we get the language right? Are we upholding the appeal? Somebody want to spell that out?
Yeah, so if you uphold, it's upholding the appeals or voiding. Avoiding.
Avoiding,
I'm sorry.
avoiding,
Well, okay, excuse me. You're upholding the ticket or voiding the ticket.
so Nancy or whoever's running the show here, do we all in favor of?
Yeah, Nancy, so you'll start all in favor of upholding.
right, and.
Nancy, I'm going to abstain from voting on this.
Oh, goodness, well, how's that gonna work? Because there's.
That's great. So you can still do it.
Oh, all right, and then if that's the case, once you vote, there's still a matter of discussion, is usually the way it works with like Robert's rules or what have you.
No, you discuss it prior to, if you have any questions, you can discuss it with yourselves, between yourselves. If you have any questions again for Mr. Morgan, since he's still here, you can ask him, and then you make the final vote.
Okay, well, I've been in other boards where it goes the opposite, but that's fine. So why don't we just go around and ask for the votes? Kevin,
I see Anne Maria is on. Is she still available?
I believe so. I know she's been, if you want, I could. Anne Marie, do you want to?
Available. Can you hear me?
yes.
Yep.
Go ahead. Do you have any questions for her?
So your the letter that you added to it, what's like your side of the story?
I am the downtown community. I'm the community liaison. So my primary focus is working with the businesses, making sure there's no parking issues downtown, and walking downtown. So I was driving downtown that morning, and I had been going down Elm Street the same exact time as Mike was going. He saw a violation. I saw a violation. My violation wasn't actually a violation because the individual showed me that they had a handicap sticker. They just hadn't properly put it up. So I directed my attention to Mike. He had already finished writing out the parking ticket. So I was getting ready to get back in my car. He was getting ready to leave. And then that's when we were approached by Mr. Morgan and his wife. Would you like me to keep going, or?
What was the weather?
It was raining. It definitely wasn't a great day to be outside, but I don't think it was bad enough that he couldn't have continued walking in the rain with his family. Other people were walking and parking where they're supposed to.
And I think I recall it said at the time, and let me just go back here just before I say something. You did not observe any children, so they were still in the restaurant.
Correct. I did not notice any children. All I saw was Mr. and Mrs. Morgan, and she had what appeared to be a takeout bag in her hand, but there was no one else with them. And the vehicle was unoccupied, and it did not have its lights on.
That's inaccurate. The kids were loaded on the other side of the car because was right in front of the restaurant and 15 feet or whatever it is, 18 feet from the restaurant door. We loaded them in, and then we came across, and the ticketing officer was still in the process of writing the ticket. He hadn't put it on the car or finished writing it when we were already out of the restaurant with the kids loaded in the other side of the car before we were given the ticket. Again, we were not parked. We were loading the car.
And was the car off or on?
The car was off.
Okay.
Again, I had to go in order to help my wife with get our children, my son, make sure his cast was covered, wasn't going to get wet, to get out to the car. So while it was only a minute and a half, 2 minutes, I did shut it off. Just, I didn't want to leave a running car while I ran into the restaurant to get my family.
So just to be clear, the kids were back in the car. You had gotten them from the restaurant to the car while.
And then we went
and
across
look-
and talked to the ticketing agent and the officer. Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so the ticketing officer was not near the car when you
The
were
ticketing
getting back
officer
in?
was on, again, the street side.
Okay.
So he hadn't, by the time the kids were in the car,
Mhm.
he hadn't even
Yeah.
put the ticket on the window yet.
Officer Ceci, am I pronouncing that right? Sorry.
DC.
Cece, sorry. Is that accurate? Was the ticket not on the windshield when they re-entered the vehicle?
No, that is incorrect. We did not encounter anyone near the vehicle. Mike had placed the ticket on the vehicle, and as we were getting ready to leave is when we were approached by the individuals.
All right, I don't know how to, listen, I want to be respectful here, but that's just flat out not accurate. The rain was not just raining, it was raining so poorly, so bad, that the ticketing officer didn't get out of his car. And I witnessed this. He drove up in front of us while we were standing there and stuck the ticket to the driver's side window in the rain. So no, it was not ticketed and you departed. We were there, the kids were in the car, and I walked around to witness him finish issuing the ticket and putting it on the driver's side window. Again, he didn't have to stick it under a windshield wiper or anything because it was so wet, the paper just stuck to the car. And so that's, I don't want to be disrespectful, but that's what happened. It just doesn't compute why I would park legally for 4 hours and then drive and park illegally for a few minutes. I mean, it's just, I'm loading my family into the car, and I understand that the officer didn't see everything and didn't have visibility into the situation. And so I respect that from that viewpoint that, okay, let's issue a ticket. But knowing the facts, and they are facts, it just belies reason that this is issued as a parking ticket.
I'm compelled to say something, even though I probably always talk too much. But here's from, we've encountered these issues before, Mr. Morgan, where people have paid for parking legitimately and then circled around and picked something up or run into a store to grab something. And I'd say that we have a pretty strong history of being reasonable in those cases. I know just in my fairly short time on the parking commission, I know that I've voted to void many of those type of tickets. But I have to say, in the and I understand, you're trying to be respectful, and I understand your talk about being a family-oriented town, but, you know, where I have to sort of draw the line is where you start berating our officers. And, you know, I think if this had been any other, if this had unfolded in any other way, and there hadn't been those responses and those reactions, either from you or your wife, and I certainly understand it's a stressful situation. But, you know, under the auspices of respect, it does go both ways. And I just have to say that I vote to uphold this ticket.
All right, I understand that we got emotional about it. But that doesn't change the fact that the underlying ticket was not valid and it should not be valid. And again, my
Wow.
kids were already loaded in the car. So you can you can say that I made a mistake and my wife got too emotional, and I will accept that and I'll apologize for that and I'll write a letter. But it doesn't change the fact that I believe that the ticket, it's not a parking ticket. It wasn't a parking situation. So
Well, you,
I hope that we can
again,
separate the two.
you parked in a spot. The picture shows clearly you were at a spot, the car was off. You may have had your reasons for doing that. We all do it. We hope not to get caught. You know, it is what it is. Let's be done.
No, I mean, again, I've run this by many people in town. We don't want to live in a place where we can't pick up our family at the restaurant, especially in a storm, especially when we have an injured kid who has a medical requirement not to get his cast wet.
Typically,
So-
what happens in those cases is you leave your flashers on.
I did have my hazards on. I didn't have the car running, but my hazards were on.
I don't think that was ever documented.
The hazards were on, but the car was turned off.
If you look at.
Anyway.
If you look at the picture, just to be clear, there's nothing, there's no way.
Anyway, it's your word against our town employees, and I'm gonna go with our town employees. You know, the whole protecting my family story doesn't fly. I want to live in a town where we respect the laws, and they should apply to everybody equally. And, you know, unfortunately, on that day, you know, they applied to you, but it would be the same for anyone else.
And live in a town where we respect the people who have to uphold those laws.
So I vote to uphold the ticket.
A second.
Okay, I accept that. However, if there are a bunch of us who believe that this should not be the case, what is the mechanism to change a policy? I'm not saying that any of you have done anything wrong. What I'm saying is if there are hundreds of us who think that we should be able to load our family, especially in a stormy day, and not be penalized for that, how do we change that as citizens of this town?
Well, I hope the 100 of you don't try and do it all at the same time on the same block.
No, I'm saying, how do we change it? Like, how do we get it so the town, so in a board meeting like this, that the mandate is that we don't ticket for a scenario like this? I'm not saying you've done anything wrong. You've upheld your understanding of how this is supposed to go. But how do we change? Is it an elected official? Is it a rule in town? How do we change it so that we don't penalize a father or a mother for keeping their family safe?
I actually like, I was thinking, there's so little parking with all the new bump outs. We could maybe add like 15-minute or half-hour parking to all the spaces on the right side, all the parallel parking, and it could lead to more like quick in and outs in town.
There might be even an option, you just struck, you know, something, Kevin, because I know in Greenwich, actually, they have a few places that are literally 5 minutes.
Mhm.
So it's 5-minute parking. And I think it's expressly for those situations.
But bureaucratically, that's a police commission thing, right? Stacy?
Is it?
Yeah, it would have to be something that you would recommend and I would recommend to the police commission. I'll go to the police commission. We have 15-minute zones. Main Street, Elm Street.
Right, but in that
Far.
case, it was far away, you know, that 15-minute zone is in front of Houlihan Lawrence, not in front of Elm Restaurant.
Is there a way
Yeah,
to do
so-
like a study or something to like see if that's like a positive, or like to test it one like month or something in the summer?
There's always a possibility to do things, sure.
And again, that's the police commission, correct?
Police commission recommends, street parking, signage on the streets and what areas should be what. The parking zones, 15-minute zones. So it would be a recommendation from the parking commission to the police commission, and they would have to approve that. And then again, it goes to the board of selectmen.
Would we actually have to, as a parking commission, designate the spots that we would want to trial that, or was that something the police commission would determine?
You would have to give where you feel you would want those 15 additional, those 15-minute spaces, 5-minute spaces, or whatever you guys have been discussing, or what you decide, what areas where you would want them. And again, it would be the police commission that makes the final decision.
How quickly could that be implemented hypothetically? Like if we say like we recommend it, the police is like, yeah, we'll try it out, but like they would have to like new signs, and like how quickly could like it be done?
It varies, and I can't give you a good answer at this point because it all depends on if everyone approves it, it goes along with it, or some people say no, or some people want to, like you said, do a study. So I don't have an answer for you. I can't give you an answer. It would depend on first going there and presenting it to them and seeing what they agree to or not agree to. And then we go from there. So.
Got it.
May I ask one more question?
To me, sure.
Or to
Yeah,
whomever.
whoever, sure.
Do we as a town have video surveillance around downtown?
There are places that do have cameras, yes. Can I give you the locations at the moment? No, but yes, there are locations.
Right. So I mean, I'm 100% certain in my version of the story because I saw the whole thing, but I understand the officer only saw a piece of it. And so she has, she's made some assumptions and they're incorrect, but not because she's trying to be. It just, she didn't have a full visibility. But in the future, is there a way that I could go somewhere in town and be like, can I get the video of that so I could prove that I was only in there for 112 seconds and my kids were already in the car and that the ticket was still being issued?
I'm gonna say at this point, no, but sir, I'm going to let you know that when you park illegally, it doesn't matter if you're parked for a second, a minute, or an hour. You are not supposed to be in that area for any reason. For any reason, stopped, not stopped. If it is a no parking zone, that's exactly what it is, a no parking zone. Not to pick up people, not to drop people off. It's a no parking zone. So until that's changed, okay, it doesn't matter if you have video. We have a picture of you parked in a no parking zone.
Yep, understood. It just was explained to me that if I had stayed in the car and had my family just come out by themselves, that there would be no ticket. Which again is, I guess I sort of understand that because my whole point is trying to help my family, but I guess that help is more helpful than just, parked half a mile away at the church. But if it just would just, there's going to be some situations when just like this, the officer, the ticketing agent didn't see the full picture. And if there's video surveillance, it would show the full picture and you guys would know that I'm telling the truth. And maybe it would be helpful, maybe it wouldn't, but I just wanted to know. I understand there's no way I can access that now, but maybe in the future. So thank you for listening to me and appreciate the opportunity to present that it's important to a lot of people I know in town that we can do stuff like that. And so if there is a solution with drop off spots, every couple 100 feet along that street, that would be maybe a good idea. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, thank you. And we're going to go on to the next person that was here,
Your
Mr.
uh,
So,
patient.
so let me just backtrack, 3 to uphold. Am I correct with that? Okay,
One abstain.
One abstention.
1 abstained, yes. Mr. Yosef. He was the next person. He was an
Tough
older
one.
gentleman that was here, who parked in the handicap zone. Any
I'm
questions?
not sure I saw the tanker in the picture.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, He
He-
was also straddling 2 spaces, but again, we don't want to get too much out there.
Living
Um,
here for 43 years, he said.
And has he ever gotten a ticket before?
I don't believe so, no.
I mean, I guess we kind of have to.
But I will tell you, when he did come into my office, I can only speak for myself, because I did ask this question, so I could speak to this. When I asked him why did he not park in the gas station itself if he needed to run in, he didn't know why. So I don't know how this tanker came up, but he, at the time, didn't say that to me. He just,
He also said there was no parking at the gas station. And perhaps, he's got some other cognitive issues besides diabetes, which isn't cognitive, but
so, so we have a vote?
such a tough
Yeah,
one.
I was gonna give him the benefit of the doubt, but now I've changed my mind. And I think we gotta give the ticket. It is a handicap spot. He should have a handicap tag and frankly, shouldn't be driving a Jeep his age.
That was
Too
pretty.
high, too
Well-
high, too big. Anyway, so if he wants to have, if he has a medical condition, he should get a tag. They're great. I don't think it's that difficult to get one.
Do they cost
I'm
money?
pretty
those tags?
I'm pretty sure it's like, I think it's like $20. But you can get it also for free with a doctor's note.
Yeah, that's how, yes, I believe, it might now possibly be 5, is from what I understand, but a doctor will fill it out. You can even submit it online. I think you can fax it over, email it over. The doctor fills a portion out, the gentleman would fill his portion out, and then they either go to DMV or send it over to DMV.
I mean,
Is there a
Stacy,
way-
you're always saying that of the hierarchy of violations, the handicap spot is like tippity top, right?
I mean, I was literally just about to say that. It's hard to go soft on handicap spots, right? They're there for a reason. They're there for people who really need them.
Correct.
I don't want to set.
We don't have
precedent.
enough in town as it is, so for people to take them up without a handicap permit is taking that spot away from somebody who needs it, and now somebody who can't walk or needs a closer spot can't park there.
When you give him like the response back, can you send him the information about how to get handicap sticker also?
Yeah, I was gonna suggest that.
Sure. I think I might have even let him know that when he came into the office to appeal it, so, but I will refresh. Yes, absolutely.
Cool.
I'll forward him the form. I can download it. All right, so, circling back. Uphold, Boyd,
Uphold.
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 All in favor.
okay. All right, the last person who presented himself, Mr. Rosenblum.
I mean, the ticket, we can talk about the signs all we want. The ticket was for parking in a crosswalk. He parked in a crosswalk. Like, you can't park in a crosswalk.
Agreed. And the
Yeah.
curb also was tapering. There were other signs, but the sign business, I mean, I'd be kind of surprised if he was making all that up. So what's going on with that?
I can speak for when I was out there last week. There's two signs up, two 15-minute signs. There's a no parking zone sign next to the angled spot. Is the 15-minute sign to start the 15-minute spot not exactly really at the tip of the 15-minute spot? No, because there is a pole already there. And the town really doesn't want to put a pole right behind that pole to start that 15-minute zone. So they put it on the closest pole. It is,
Yeah, I know, but the way the
It's
signs are
clear.
supposed to work is you see the sign in front of you, and then that whatever that sign indicates is valid from the sign back to a different sign. And you've
or
got
in
like
this
an
case,
extra sign.
forward to a different sign, because it
Well-
starts, there's another one at the other end of it.
Why
Okay.
don't we make it clear? Anyway, to Marley's point, we can talk about the signs all we want, but it just keeps coming up again and again, like the bad paint, the confusing signs, like, let's,
Well, and especially at that,
Well,
that corner is particularly problematic.
I'm sorry.
I think that corner is particularly problematic.
That entire intersection is
Yeah.
crazy.
You walk across the street again, it's carbon.
So, again, like Marley said, he was in a crosswalk. And again, he really was in a no parking zone as well in front of it. It wasn't a 15-minute, but we'll just do the crosswalk. A pole.
Stacy, I actually have one more question for this guy. The underneath his car, there's a yellow triangle too, right? So he parked on top of that.
It's not yellow, it's white. So the triangle
white.
starts from the edge of the legal parking spot to the corner of the crosswalk. So it's.
Got it.
an angle.
Okay. Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Okay. All
So
in
do we have
favor-
to vote on that one then? Did we
Yes,
vote on?
please.
it?
Yes,
All in
please.
favor to uphold?
Okay. So the two that didn't appear, we'll start with Jessica. Obstructing a hydrant. Any questions on that one? You saw Mike's report.
Don't they have to be present to be appealed, or is it just submitting the appeal?
No, just submitting the appeal. They don't have to. You'll take, if they choose not to show up, then what they write to you is what you will base your decision on. And any other information that is submitted, like the officer report, if one is needed, pictures. So,
I mean, with Jessica, I definitely I feel bad for the economic hardship of it. But in front of a fire hydrant is like a pretty big safety hazard.
and if you read the officer's report, she had parked someplace else first and was asked illegally and was asked to please move. So she wasn't initially ticketed at that point, and then she went on to park by fire hydrant.
the real issue is DoorDash here. I mean, they're just basically offloading the risk to these drivers who don't have the capacity to pay the the hits. Because it's just impossible to park down there on a good day and to do that and go in and out. That's crazy.
Unfortunately, we do have a lot of these food delivery services. That's why we made our 15-minute zones. But, if people are in the 15-minute zones, anybody else has to find a.
Is there any way to charge them, DoorDash? I mean, this is again the whole scam of like, they're not an employee, it's not our car, but come on. If in
That
any
is a
other,
question I cannot
another,
answer.
in any other real universe, they would be a company vehicle.
Or is it possible for to advise the restaurants that, to create some sort of a text mechanism to bring the stuff out for these food delivery services?
I guess anything is possible, but
Especially in that particular location. It just feels like every time we have appeals, there's at least, in tonight it was 2, but there's at least 1 that comes at that intersection. It's very difficult.
well, we took away a loading zone because of the restaurants. That was a loading zone for many, many, many years. And we went along, I mean, the restaurants have to kind of work with us as well. I mean, we can't change the parking for everybody. There's always going to be somebody that, it's not going to work for them.
Mhm.
And right now, that's why it went to a 15-minute zone, because, and we put another 15-minute zone on Elm Street so that these food delivery services can utilize it. But in a sense, yeah, the restaurants have to work with us as well. And maybe they have to develop something so the drivers are not getting tickets all the time.
The question, how much is this ticket in particular? It's a $75 ticket. I mean, is there any way we can consider reducing this?
I don't know if we can change the regulations. We have never done that before as far as reducing a ticket. I don't know if we can just all of a sudden just change and say we can reduce the fine. It is not stated anywhere that the parking commission or anybody has the authority to reduce a fine. Our fines have always been what our fines have always been. So again, I have never looked into that before, so I can't give you an answer. I just know it's either uphold the ticket or dismiss the ticket, void, excuse me, uphold or void.
And has this person ever gotten a
If
ticket
you want to
before?
do, then we could make, we could, put that forth as well.
We had a similar situation with, I guess, what was it, a truck driver that was in the loading zone? I don't recall what we ultimately voted, but.
I mean, again, I think this, like, I hate it too for the like sort of punitive monetary part of it, but it's like they were parked in the wrong place. Like we just, told somebody else they were parked in the wrong place and we have to give you a ticket. It's like that, because that's no matter what the situation is, that's kind of like how the process works, right? Like we're here to like uphold the town or
And
statute.
again, if you read the officer's report, she was initially asked to move from another illegal spot.
Right.
I understand your point,
Yeah.
but again, where does it stop?
Yeah,
Right.
100%. I mean, where does it stop? I get it.
I don't know if I can say anything. I'm still here. I would be willing to work with the businesses on creating an area for Uber, DoorDash, whatever it may be, some kind of section, whether maybe it be parking behind town hall, that little alleyway where I try to get the businesses to have them meet them out back, just so that we don't keep having this issue, because I do see it a lot when I'm downtown too, that these Uber drivers or DoorDash delivery people, they're not from New Canaan. They're not familiar with how Elm and Main Street work. So they're in a rush to pick up the food. They're just trying to make a living, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you can park wherever you please. So maybe this is something I can work with the businesses and the restaurants on trying to make better for everyone. If you guys have any input.
I think that's an awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love the
Yeah.
idea too of being able to text the restaurant and be like, hey, I'm outside. Could someone run, right? Because could someone, I mean, I don't know, that was like a COVID thing that you bring everything curbside, but I feel like a lot of stores still do that in this sort of post-pandemic world. So is that something they could do? I don't know. I feel for everybody in this situation.
I have another question. Nancy brought up the 5-minute zone that Greenwich is apparently doing. Is that something that's practical from an enforcement perspective, or is that too short a time to even know if anybody's honoring that?
I feel that that's too short a time. I think by the time somebody shuts a car off and gets out of their car, 5 minutes is up. Yeah, probably 6 minutes. I don't think anyone realizes how, when people say, I just ran in for 90 seconds, that's not really the case. So if we were to do that, if I was to present the police commission with more areas so that the Uber Eats and DoorDash people can park, or somebody just needs to run in or something, I would recommend it to be at least 15 minutes. That would be more in line with somebody running in to pick something up that's ready, taking care of whatever they have to do, even a quick payment or something, getting back to their vehicle. I think 5 minutes just would. And enforcement wise, I don't have the staff to monitor those.
Right.
Somebody would really
Okay.
have to stay there all the time, and watch the turnover. To do
Okay,
that.
I'm ready to vote.
Okay. Go ahead. I'm ready to take it down.
I vote to uphold.
Uphold.
Hold.
Okay. Last, Nanette Melfi. She was in a no parking zone in front of People's Bank, or what used to be the old People's Bank. I think it's M&T right now. Any questions?
So the question I have, she's not here, but our officer is, can we confirm that there were people in the handicap spot? She had a sticker and apparently couldn't park and.
So according to her, people were in the handicap spot in their parking lot. That is a private parking lot. We do not go in there. So we cannot confirm that somebody or two people were in that spot, because that is a private lot, so it's not patrolled. So
I'd be surprised if that lot's fully filled for M&T.
yeah.
Well, there's all that parking up the hill too,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but
Is she like half in a legal space and somebody was behind her? I don't totally understand what
Yeah.
led to this decision.
$35. So she was parked. Where was she parked?
So
She was parked in front of M&T.
M&T,
In front.
no parking zone.
In the
I think
strike
it used
zone.
to, yeah, it used to be parking.
Before we changed the lineage on
But
the
like,
street.
is the car, I can't tell from the picture, is the car fully in the stripe zone, or is like the butt end of the car in an actual parking spot?
No.
I think it's straight.
There's no parking spot there. That's
all.
only parking, correct.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I
that
think
makes
it's like stripe line up until
Striped line, correct.
basically the light, past the light.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
It's the 25-foot setback from, I believe it's the.
Right.
cross.
right from the crosswalk.
So that's
Okay.
no,
Mm,
I mean, it's not a
Right.
parking space.
it's not a parking space. It's
Not a parking
Yeah.
space.
no parking.
Not a parking spot.
I vote to uphold.
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 Ditto.
Okay. All right, so I think we have gone through everything. I don't think anybody else have any questions, anything? Concerns,
So-
anything else?
Can we get the survey results back like before the
Yes.
next meeting so that we can like take a look at it and
Okay.
kind of digest it a little bit and then kind of discuss it?
In fact, what I will do is I will get you out the information after this meeting when, in the next week or two. We do not have a July meeting. So the next meeting, as you see, is August 2nd. So, but I will get the survey results out to you. And if anyone has anything that they want me to add to the agenda, please email me. I'll put the agenda together. I'll send it out to you ahead of time. You can make any corrections or additions to the August agenda. And hopefully I'll have a little bit more information as far as the shutdown goes and everything like that. I will make the recommendation to the Board of Selectmen for the extension. And
Be great.
Thank you, Stacy.
thank you. Does somebody would like to make a motion to end the meeting?
Well, before we do, I just want to say thank you to Officer Cece as well. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank
doing
you.
what you do and putting
Thank
up with all the CRAP, unfortunately.
No problem. Thank you guys all for your time.
Thank
All
you.
right.
And thanks, Bob, for all the counting and work that you've done on the train
Yeah.
staff. I was
Yes,
really
thank you.
blown away by the data you have. That takes a lot of time. So thank you very much.
Thank you all. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful rest of the evening. And I need a motion to end the meeting in a second.
Motion to end.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's-
Perfect. It is 8:40. Have a good night, everybody.
I'd see you in August. Ciao.
See you in
Yeah.
August. Bye.
Recording.
And the recording. Thank you. Where's my recording?
Right, see where it says
Oh,
pause stop?
stop.
Yes.
Yes.